Howdy, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday, whether it's morning or afternoon or night. Um, I know it's beautiful where I am today, so I am enjoying the weather and trying to make the best of it. So today we have a Unique Venture Club with us, which we're going to discuss what they have going on. They are a fully flexible DAO creation platform that provides tooling and infrastructure for collectors and investors to jumpstart a DAO. I am Boogie, the host of this space, and with us from Unique is Alex, the CEO and co-founder. Alex, are you there, sir?
Yep, I'm here. Thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for being here with us. How are you doing today?
So far, so good. I mean, here also the weather is pretty nice. The spring is kicking in, so yeah.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Most locations have it good right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, cool. Let's get started. So it's been a while since we last spoke. I think it's been like 4 months, something like that. Um, can you give us a recap? Let's pretend like I've never heard of the project, don't know what's going on, and I want to know what Unique Venture Club is in the most simplest way possible.
Yeah, and we've spent definitely a big chunk of the time also working, like, not only on the platform itself, but also trying to, put in a better words, try to explain, what we are trying to achieve in the best way possible, because it's not that easy.
It's not that
Um,
easy, right? I can imagine. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, in the end of the day, we are building a platform for DAOs. We are building a platform for organizations in the first place, right? Because the term DAO, in the end of the day, has become pretty wide,
Yeah.
and different DAOs have different goals, different configurations, and so on. So what we are trying to do is to provide exactly the tooling for them to be what they want to be, for those organizations that are basically on-chain organizations, groups of people which are governed by code instead of just mutual agreements, right?
Right.
And this is what we're trying to provide, and we are coming from a place where we think that um, the first goal of any organization, the thing that every organization revolves around, is its economical activity, right? It's not just about, let's say, democracy per se or something like that. And it's really hard to achieve without building the foundation. And we kind of believe that all organizations started because people wanted to work together and to do something together, right? To achieve something.
A
Uh,
common
in
goal, right?
terms, yeah, but in terms of economical activity in the first place, right? So if we
Mm-hmm.
start there and we give those tools where they can come together and say we want to achieve this and that, but there is this economical uh, aspect to all of that, then it's going to be easy to then move forward and say, okay, let's see what more complex organizations can look like, not just like a group of people who are, I don't know, who have shared treasuries, who have some money they operate together with. But then we can go on to say, okay, like, what can an actual, let's say, government look like, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, how does one, in your thought process, how does one come to that decision of figuring out, what does the governance look like? Is
Well,
that's probably not very easy to come to a understanding of, I would assume, especially how new this space is, right?
yeah. The space is really new, but the concept is not new, right?
Right.
We've been trying, I guess, to figure out how can we cooperate best from the early days of humanity and civilization. So a lot of things are, let's say, we're trying to look at them in this more traditional way. On one hand, on the other hand, like I said, we're trying to give a lot of flexibility because again, every organization is different and every organization transforms over time, right? What you need today as a group of people might not be the same what you need in like 2 years when you evolve, when you grow, when there are much more people and much
Right.
more finances, at your disposal.
Right.
So what we're trying to do here is exactly that. When you come to the platform, you can set up a club. That's what we call them, clubs that is best tailored for you and your specific case, right? And we try to define multiple use cases and boil them down to those different options that you can choose from. Um, you can be a fully fledged DAO, really, where everybody has same rights completely, everybody has same access level and so on. You can be, let's say, more centralized, where you can select one or several leaders of this DAO, and they will have much more power to do day-to-day operational stuff, right? But on changes, you will need to vote, as a proper organization, just like companies do. Or you can be like, I don't know, you can put finances first and say everybody's vote should be equal to his financial contribution to this particular organization.
Right.
And not just that, again, that can change over time. You can start as a centralized, let's say, more centralized organization, but at some point of time you can say, hey, now we actually want to be we want to be equal within this organization because we grew to this point, exactly, right? And then if everybody votes for that, if everybody approves this decision, you can actually change your club's configuration, and it's going to work from that point on according to the new rules, right? Again,
as long as it's voted in.
Yes, exactly. As long as it's voted in, and as long as people again who because again we are trying to make it flexible on a day-to-day level, right?
Right. And I mean, flexible governance sounds like a very complicated thing to build. Looking at your website, you got that initial tile-based system on deciding the type of DAO to create, which is really cool. It kind of gives you the options based on the different initial DAO types, and shows how the governance configuration is flexible. And it seems like that could be very complicated to build out initially. How did that go for you guys to come to those decisions as to building that process to where it is flexible within the code?
Yeah, that's been our biggest challenge, and sometimes we even had a feeling that is a little bit of too big of a chunk for us to buy. But it's coming together really nicely now, and we can see it definitely happening and working. We had to implement a lot of different things. Some of them are, let's say, completely our own pieces of code and plugins and programs and contracts and whatnot, right? But we are also trying to work very closely with Realms today, who are known also previously as SPL governance, right? So like the core component on Solana for DAOs, right? For the governance in the first place, right? Because that's kind of the philosophy that Solana has itself, we believe, and what we want to follow is that as many things as possible on Solana should be composable and should be compatible, right? So we do believe that in future some people would like to start their fundamental DAO, let's say very straightforward one, but then they might want to add some components that we provide or somebody else provides, right? And build their completely unique experience and unique organization when it comes to all those things. Then add different other services sprinkled with DeFi that is also found in abundance on Solana, right? And so on and so on. So again, it's been hard, but also we had this great support from different partners and participants of the ecosystem. So it's been great.
So in terms of like DAOs within Solana ecosystem in general, what does the competitive landscape look like?
Well, it's definitely, I guess, not as competitive as say on Ethereum. And again, even the competition itself is not as much of a competition in the end of the day, right? Because
more collaborative.
Yes, that's much more correct of a statement for sure. Because we are focusing on let's say the economic and financial flexibility and so on. While there are squads, for example, and they are trying to look at the future of work within organizations in a way, right? And they are creating all those different mechanics for sub DAOs, right? So like organizations within organizations, which is amazing, really, and something that again, a lot of organizations definitely would need in that or other way. And again, Realms, they are working on like primitives for the governance itself, right? So that's exactly our goal, and that's how we see basically everybody in the space. There are, of course, several other projects working on DAOs, but what we want to see, I guess, as a community here is exactly that, like, more collaboration rather than competition, because it's a huge thing, right? The whole DAO, like, even the concept itself, right? We are trying to replicate something that doesn't even exist in a super proper manner, let's say, in the real world, right? Like, you can't say there are too many really efficient organizations or way to establish an organization in the real world, right? And we are up to a challenge, of putting it on chain, right? That's
Right,
that's
right.
really
That's
bold.
even more of a challenge. Yeah, and I mean these organizations, right? They need to run like a business where there are rules and structure, and obviously you're thinking about the bottom line too, if it has to do with money as well. Where not every DAO does needs to be monetarily focused, right? It could be something that, is more of a charity base, but even in that sense, I guess there's still money tied to it, right? Um, it's interesting to see this this whole DAO thing start to grow and turn into what it has so far. Are are you guys currently working with other DAO platforms at the moment, or you just kind of collab and share ideas?
Well, when it comes to platforms, yes, we collab and share, but we're also trying to explore exactly, like, these ways where we can focus mostly and other people can focus on other things, right? And then we make sure that those things are compatible, and people can just pick components from several different platforms that they like for their particular use case, right?
Right.
And that's going to be, I guess, much better than anyone trying to cover all possible use cases, because again, we as a humanity spent like thousands of years trying to achieve that, and we really didn't get to the very end of it. So
Right, right. And I mean, crypto projects in general, it's hard to find a proper business model, that works well, and having some guidance along the way with, helping to set up the DAO could be beneficial. So I see you guys have this early access application for beta, or the private beta, that has had some impressive numbers for signups. No,
yeah,
how many
the last
people you got
number,
testing right now?
yeah, the last number that I saw, at least, but I mean, might not be the newest one, was something like over 350 applications,
Wow.
which was like, which is really impressive for me. We got this amount in like something like a month. I mean, that shows the interest, and it's really inspiring, because I can't say we really pushed it too aggressively, right?
Right.
In a
Not
way.
marketing it very, very hard, but it's still gaining traction, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and
It shows the
that's
need.
what that's absolutely amazing, because it definitely shows, like, the demand for these kind of solutions. And now we are, like, going through all the entire process, like in iteration. So we are running a closed beta, let's say, within our company itself. Soon enough, like in a week or two, we're switching to, let's say, limited access beta with several selected partners, and then we're opening it to everybody, basically, right?
The public.
And it's going to run on DevNet for some time. Again, several weeks in parallel, we'll be running code audit, because obviously, again, especially because we're dealing with the financial aspect, right? We need to make sure everything is, secure and tight, and you know. We are building in a very innovative space, right? So
Right.
you can't have too much of a security.
For
So yeah,
sure. For sure. Yeah, and you
and
got to take
then,
it in
yeah,
steps, and continue to look back and monitor and adjust as needed. Um,
yeah.
so how does somebody get access to the public beta before once it's ready to come out? Do they need to be venture club token holders? Um, fill out a form. Can you go over like what that process is?
Yeah, basically it's really simple. So for the beta, we are not having any monetization for sure because it's beta,
Right.
and it's just a form that you can find on our website unique.vc. Fill it out, and we'll get in touch with you as before actually the public beta kicks in. So we'll send out all the instructions that you need to gain the access and to play with the platform. Send us the feedback, in terms of both, technical issues that you come across, and of course, any suggestions and ideas, because in the end of the day, this should be a community-oriented thing and community-driven thing, right? From this
Right.
perspective, but we're dealing here with a very specific community, right? It's not just anybody, let's say anybody on Twitter. Well, we definitely want to, arrive to a point where we can say, okay, people who have launched clubs on our platform should have the major control of sorts over our roadmap, over the features we need to add, over the functionality we need to develop, in the next stages, in the next version. So we are looking
You're
forward
hoping
to.
to get that out of the beta is their feedback as to some of the direction that things need to go.
Well, for sure, because again, there are so many things we don't know yet. I mean,
Right.
we can't even know them, right? So a lot of the following steps will be, based out of the feedback that we get in the public beta stage.
Right.
That's also the reason why while we are doing this, closed, let's say closed beta phase with several selected partners. So we can go through all the steps, hand in hand with them, see how they interact with the platform, see what's unclear, what can be improved right away, and so on, right? Because so far it's been super limited access. It's been company, like 20 people who actually had a look at that and said, okay, let's change this and let's do that, and so on and so on. But still, we've been trying to achieve the best possible user experience, trying to build world class interface and so on. But is there for improvement? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the end user is the one that's going to be using the protocol, right? So they should be the one that you pull a lot of the information from to where the protocol should go. So I completely agree with that. Um, let's do a hypothetical if we can. Um, So let's say I'm an experienced and dedicated car collector, right? I know a good deal when I see it. I can pull value out of most places people can't, and I'm good at flipping cars. What I can't do is code or create digital infrastructure. And what would I get by coming to your framework? Because I basically maybe want to start a fund to where I need $1 million to start flipping cars in a large scale. Um, how would I go about that?
Well, that's a very good question, because that's exactly been our thinking along the way, right? So you might be an expert in some field, but when it comes to illiquid assets, especially,
Right.
being in illiquid asset space means usually that you are pretty illiquid as well, because majority of your money will be invested in those assets, right? And you can't just liquidate them at any moment. So what you prefer to do in order to grow your, let's say, business, is to have access to those funds. And yeah, the traditional way is to go out and raise some sort of fund, and go on from there. But why why we named it Unique Venture Club is because potentially it's much better for you to go out and find people who actually believe in you, who have some understanding, obviously, of what you're trying to achieve, like cars, for example, right?
Right.
So they're also enthusiasts, but they don't have quite the same level of expertise, right? Though they have some free money. And it
Right.
makes much more sense for them to kind of invest in you, but in a manner where they are investing together with you in assets that you from now on will own together, flip together, operate with together, build an additional expertise together. They can, because they can contribute in much more ways than just money, right? And that's what we are also looking for in, funds, for example, when we are raising the startups, right? We are looking for them to actually provide some additional help, some connections, networking, mentorship, and so on and so on.
Sure. Right. Providing leads or something. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Same here, right? If you can build a community of people who support your idea, who are also into cars, into rare automobiles, right? And they're, let's say, spread all over the United States, and then they can, I don't know, visit all the shows that you cannot. They can talk to people you can't reach out to, and so on. That will boost the performance of your club by a magnitude, right? And
Right.
then again, every dollar invested will have a much greater ROI, and that's the model we are going after here, really, where people work together on something, contribute money to this common treasury, and operate it together. But they are on one hand really flexible and can have this control over everything that is happening, but on the other hand, the management, let's say, of the club can have a lot of freedom in terms of spending money, because it's
Right.
also super important, right? You can't wait for everybody on every decision. Sometimes you need
Exactly.
to
That's what I was
act.
wondering with that. Like, right. So you do need a different type of governance in this type of model, because if I was the guy that knows that knows which cars to buy at what prices, I wouldn't want to put that out to vote for everybody. Hey, do you think this is a good enough deal? And many of those people may not know, and they just might be voting willy nilly. But at the same time, you still want everybody to be aware of what's going on, but that's a different type of governance, one would think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the type of governance that we apply to our businesses, right? Even in corporation, okay, you have your yearly shareholder meeting or whatever, but there
Right.
are
Right.
decisions that are need to be made here and now. Otherwise, the deal will just go away. This car will be bought by somebody else.
That's it.
Usually, it's a matter of minutes, right, for you to
Right.
strike this really great deal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a cool concept. Yeah, and I could see some really creative clubs or funds come out of this that may not be totally crypto related, but obviously, um, if managed as such, is still part of blockchain. Uh, Very cool. So I have so many questions for DAOs. Right? They are so new. They're still very much a test bed, one could say, because we really haven't found there isn't one size fits all for every DAO. They all have a different type of model that may be needed. Um, Based off of that, do all DAOs need a token?
Well, I would say no,
Right.
because um, talking. It's not just. Sometimes it might not be a flexibility. Sometimes it can be constrained, because you really need to have all these proper tokenomics and all things related to it. In the end of the day, you might spend more time trying to figure out how to actually do the best for the token rather than do the best for the for your DAO itself, right?
Sure.
So in our case, you don't really need it, right? You can have it. You can have multiple models again. You can have your own token. That's fine. You can have an NFT-based governance, right? So you just mint a collection, and people who have this NFT can vote on certain decisions, can contribute to your treasury in order for it to grow, and so you can grow the project further, and so on and so on. But again, you can completely go without it and base your governance on roles, and so again more like classical management um, style, and so on and so on. So it's up to you really,
Right.
because we don't have a straight answer for that. Just like with anything else, we are not completely sure which approach is the best, and probably there is no single best approach to
Right.
that. And it
Right.
depends on organizational stage again, and so on and so on, so many factors. So we really want people to play with it and to see what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we do need more education in this space too, to kind of help guide people and clubs and to figure out which direction is the best, depending on what type of DAO they are trying to create as well. And initially, it sounds like you guys do have that partially figured out, right? But obviously, it's no one size fits all. But the way that your website shows for the different types of DAOs, and those are still going to need to be fine tuned depending on what they're truly are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, what we are trying also to achieve here, and really looking forward to, is like helping organizations and DAOs transition from some short-term things to much more long-term things, right? So to look at their future, not in terms of like today, but where we want to be in 10 years from now, because that's a completely different model then.
Very true. Yeah. That's an interesting way of thinking about it. So what's the roadmap look like for you guys? What can we expect to see from you guys in the platform from now till a year from now?
Well, in the first place, we are really looking forward to rolling out the beta as soon as possible, and then building from there, because it really contains a lot of those fundamental things that we need to have in order to add features on top of it, and that's how we've been designing it from the very beginning. Right, build the foundation and then make sure we can add something pretty fast, right, to it. But from the technical perspective, of course, there are a lot of things and a lot of features that we can add. But in terms of business and how we want this protocol and platform to evolve, really what we are looking for are more different use cases in the first place, right? Like you said, going out from crypto and cars. That's a great model, right? Comic books, real estate, even. And many other things. Right. In the end of the day, anything that can be tokenized can and should be, I guess, on our platform, right? So that's one thing.
And you guys almost want to see that happen on your platform and start the test bed of people coming in and trying to figure out what's the best way of using it, so you can have these data points to possibly alter your code to make it more for what that car DAO needs, or that comic DAO to be successful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do need really a lot of data, a lot of data for ourselves, of course, like you said, to add more features, but also for those different types of use cases and DAOs and potential organizations that we can come to and say, hey, look, there is something you can use, right? There is this platform. Maybe you never even thought of this case, but look at the numbers. People are doing something successful here, right? So go out, try it.
Exactly. Interesting. So that's great. I have some of my liquidity with you guys. I did an LP on Orca, and I guess you guys have been listed there for a little bit, but didn't realize it sounds like you guys have a competition going on, right? LP competition of sorts. Do you want to review that for the listeners?
Maybe Marty will have more on that.
Okay. Martin, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Is that a thing? Is that still going on? Or?
Yes. So actually, this competition ends up on 21st. So there is like 11 more days.
Okay.
So basically, it's going to be pretty much random. There are some, basic requirements. Minimum 5,000 UNQ tokens staked for more than a week, and then you got a chance, of winning Solana Monkey Business NFT, which the floor is like, I don't know how much today, but let's say 30K. Right. And then some of our legendary NFT and epic NFT, and then we have 20 rewards of 50 USDC. So really, a lot of people have a chance to grab a prize. And there are 11 days more, so there's still time for people to try their luck.
And the APR is pretty damn good to begin with.
I mean, we're looking forward to also, obviously down the road, have our like a single staking on our platform, but it's not here yet. So meanwhile, we need to kind of provide other rewards. So we decided to go with Orca, and we're still we like this platform a lot, and
I love Orca. Yeah,
it's been great so far.
Yeah, awesome. Well, very cool. So yeah, everybody hear that? Drop some LP over on Orca. Join the competition. 11 days left. I'm definitely doing it, but I've been in it for a while, so I like LP. Let's see. All right. So what else do we got? Do you have any alpha for us, Martin or Alex?
Martin, you're the alpha man.
He's the alpha man.
Yeah.
Come on, give me something good.
Oh boy.
Question. I know.
I mean, yeah, this is a tough one. Since we've been running in a kind of stealth mode, I would say.
Yeah.
And we know we don't want to reveal that much. The only thing that I can say is we already have a good amount of one of the biggest Solana DAOs, and we're working very close with them. I don't want to mention names, but some of the top collections having DAOs, and we've been in contact with the guys. They're looking forward to use our platform, and we're just we'll try to onboard them as soon as possible, because really our idea is to make several successful DAOs and really work very close with them and help them build and succeed, and then showcase this success to other people.
Exactly.
Because we
use
just
them as
need
case studies, almost.
Yeah, just to in order to promote the space, we really need to show success, because people usually go for that. They go for something that it's like a FOMO, right?
They're not going to go on the what
something
if.
It's yeah, because to be honest, we don't expect like 1,000 people coming up and spinning off their own venture club, or a DAO, and start raising crazy amount of money from day one. We more see it of a collaboration with top DAOs and top NFT collectors, since one of our biggest verticals is to go with NFTs, and we're building for those people. Actually, if you're, for example, so Big Brain, he's also our investor, and very good friend of ours. So literally, this guy, it's one of the biggest Solana NFT whales, and people like him, they might want to open a club, and they might want to raise extra funds from their community, and try to do it this way, like to create a small VC, let's say, around certain collections, or just they can be leaders of such a club, and we have some of those guys as well. So maybe
and as a person that would invest into a club like that, even in a small manner, that's almost like, if it is an NFT club, that's almost like fractionalized NFTs at that point, right? Because you're gaining a piece of the investment without having to be put up the full dollar
basically amount. We're against fractionalization, obviously, for many reasons. The biggest one is just maybe the compliance side of the things, but exactly, if you you can have collective ownership of 100 people, one particular NFT, but the NFT is still one whole piece, and this is what we were trying to achieve. So on the other hand, we are also targeting some of the biggest investors who are interested in buying, having exposure to NFTs. and actually our ideas, to connect the big VCs in the industry with the smart DAOs and smart investment clubs, because imagine like a, a famous NFT collector, let's say Solana NFT collector, backed by his community and backed by one of the biggest VCs, and he can easily actually curate and control their money into some extent. Obviously, there should be a trustless way, of moving those funds.
For sure.
But at some point, we can do much more in the space like this, and we are building actually for the marketplaces and for the demand side, not for the supply, because supply is just enormous at this point. Millions of NFTs and hundreds of yeah, it's just celebrities coming up, dropping their NFTs and whatnot, and we want to really build some tools for the supply, for the people who buy that, because we think this is very important in order the NFTs to become more successful and more. This is a simple supply and demand thing, where if you don't have enough demand, obviously the market will crash.
Sure.
So yeah, we're just very excited to see what's next. We truly believe towards end of this year, we'll see massive DAO adoption, and really
this is the year of the DAO, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, listen, DAO, it's not this is something that I want to make clear, for everyone. DAO is just a framework. The DAO it's not more than that.
Right.
Not necessarily, because people, they'll be using word DAO for many things, right? And that's why we call them, venture clubs or investment clubs. But we should do that in order to actually attract the people that want to be part of something like this. And essentially most of the existing DAOs, they're not real DAOs, right?
Because of the
so this is a very important for yeah. I mean, not only because at the end of the day, if like a single wallet has a control over the funds, how is this decentralized? Right? And this is there are many DAOs with this case, and even Syndicate, who are one of the only like a platform for DAO creation for like investment clubs or whatever on Ethereum. This is what they're doing actually. When you open investment club on their platform, all the funds get to one wallet only. So this is pure centralization. Because now this one person can spend all the millions that other people send this guy. And they still calling you can open a DAO on top of their platform. So it's more about maybe the vocabulary and the way that this sounds. But we'll see, actually this changing a lot over time as people grasp and understand more about those things. And this is one of our major missions to actually promote the space and to make sure people understand all the difference between the things, and kind of learn more Yeah,
Right.
we
And
definitely we're definitely
maybe
early.
we need a new term for different types of DAOs, like some that are partially decentralized, like PDAOs or something like that. To where, yeah, it's not a fully
Yeah, that's why we call them a
decentralized
clubs.
organization. Right. Okay, good.
On our
Right.
end, it
That
could be
makes
an
sense.
investment club or collectors club or whatever club. Um, this is like in real life. You have like a golf clubs. You have other like all type of clubs.
Right.
So this is, as
And
Alex
some of
mentioned
these
before,
do
that
need
this is
leaders,
not, this is
right?
new.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is
Right.
something that um, we, as I already said, we've been talking to many DAOs, existing DAOs. Some of them, they have over 400-500 people in, and there are investment DAOs, and they realize now, like few months in, they realize, the structure is not what they kind of imagine in the beginning, because now they have lack of governance. So as you said, they need a leadership, and they need to find a way
Right.
how a group of people or one person can spend some of the money without asking everyone all the time. Then
Right.
they figure
Right.
out they need a sub DAOs to dedicate a group of people, to give them roles. You are going to be dedicated only on our, treasury management. You are going to be dedicated only to research, DeFi, whatever. You are compliance. You are accountant. You are our marketing guy. You are doing this. They're realizing now, fully
Right.
like
People, there needs to
full
be roles.
democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, full democracy and full like 100 like because ideally when you're joining a DAO, you're like, oh, now my vote will be counted, and I will be, you know um actually when I vote for something, I'll make sure, I'm choosing, where we're going and stuff like this. Then if you join five of those DAOs, and in few months you will be kind of bored of this, and especially if
Exactly.
you're
Right. And you
if
won't
you
be
have some
reading the
kind of,
proposals, and you'll just be
yeah,
vote. You'll
exactly.
be abstaining, if anything, just so that you do have a
Yeah,
vote. Right.
yeah, and the most important thing between Ethereum DAOs and Solana DAOs is the on-chain governance, because Solana DAOs can afford to have on-chain governance. It costs them like 0.00
Right.
5 cents, right? Um, and actually, it's purely like from psychological moment where you need to take off your ledger, sign the transaction, and do whatever. You will be reading actually the proposal, you know,
Yeah.
not like a thumbs up or thumbs down on Discord, and hey, I just voted, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Um, it's a different story. So when you take everything on chain, actually, then you'll be able to kind of have this uh, more of a real DAO setup and everything. Um, and what I was going to say about that is we are building for the next type of DAOs, for the next phase of the DAOs, where they realize they need a leadership. And
Yeah.
that's why we're going to have those features on our platform where the club creator can give, obviously with governance, to give power to one person or group of people to kind of lead this, right? This where comes roles. Like
To
on
yeah.
Discord, you have an admin. You give them, the admin gives role to whatever, some guy. It's just a moderator. He can ban and kick. The other guy can do whatever. So we
Right.
want to do exact same thing,
Where
to
there's
actually
hierarchy.
give, yeah, hierarchy and different kind of permissions, and actually people choose those people and choose their permissions, and they can choose, uh, since one DAO may have multiple treasuries, on exact treasury, how many people and like specific people, what power they have over specific treasury and stuff like this, which is very, very complex thing, but is actually maybe the only way to operate a real DAO, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's complicated, right? And we're still very much, in the early phases of this whole experiment. One could call
It's
it.
just experimental space, yeah, that's for sure.
Right.
But
it's exciting.
It is exciting because even we see, some of the biggest VCs nowadays, they're looking to invest in DAOs. Believe it or not, even if they don't have their token or whatever, they just know they're going to be successful. And we definitely see that DAOs will start acquiring like private equity. They will start buying companies. They will, spin up like a DAO to start a project where you go to hackathons and stuff like this, and then you got some rewards and you build the project from there. I mean, look at even Orca. They're trying to become a DAO now. And they replicate some of the existing models, like 1inch and whatever, Uniswap. There's so many platforms actually, trying to build a DAO, and we really believe this is the way.
Right. Well, it gives the people who invest in the project some say and ability to guide the project or have some input as to the direction of things, which is awesome. And I mean, you guys are doing some really cool. Tooling is definitely the way to go, in my opinion. How you guys are going to have something that can be modified and changed and grow with DAOs as they evolve, because they definitely are a evolving structure at the moment. It's really cool stuff that you guys are working on. I'm looking forward to being able to join the public beta once it's available. Not sure if I'll have a real DAO in place, but I want to play with it, even if it's a conceptual concept. Who knows? Or maybe I'll get that car.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Double Ventures might just open a DAO, and maybe you guys can try to buy some NFTs together and stuff like this as a team.
That's actually a good idea. Right. Where we just fund our money and just do some NFT purchases. I like that concept.
Bored Ape Yacht Club is the perfect example of actually what our platform will allow people to do, because you just might want to have exposure to a few NFTs that are expensive, but there's a good chance,
right,
for them to like have a token or whatever, and you can just invite friends or colleagues and say, guys, let's put 50K together and acquire this and that, and you don't need to do anything else besides this. Like, you don't need to function as DAO, you don't need to be active as a DAO, but just have a collective ownership. Maybe it could be just a one piece. And actually, our one of the other verticals that we're trying to kind of push is gaming guilds. We've been talking to Star Atlas, where their players, since they have guilds, so their guilds need to kind of buy like this super expensive a ship where it's like $250,000, right? And the guild is 20 people, and actually they can open a club, they can put the money together, buy this ship, use it in game, since the club treasury is just a wallet address. Connect this wallet, play with it, make your guild more powerful or whatever, but actually the guild master will not be able to sell this without, if they choose this one person, one vote, for example, he will never be able to abuse this, right?
But the guild users would be able to use the ship, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, and that would almost need to be like some type of scheduling thing, or where you would book it of sort, right? Because I would assume you can only use that ship one person at a time, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how
that
their
works.
game is set up, but this is just an example of
So many
how,
variables.
you know, you don't. Yeah, so on our platform, you don't need to kind of open a DAO and be active as a DAO. You can just have like a use case that is really dedicated to even buying just one thing. But
Gotcha.
that might be very expensive, so you need to a lot of people to actually put some money together.
I love it. And I think, yeah, we're going to do something just like that. I'd gladly throw some money at an NFT fund as long as Metals is in on it, and we'll give some of his input. I'm game.
Yeah, you know, this is a perfect example. You know, Meadows can be a curator of the club, and you know,
Right.
he can flip and make all the money in the world, and you just earn passive income from that club, right?
Exactly.
You don't even need to vote. You can give him like 100% ownership of the money and just.
Right. I mean, because there are certain levels to things, like to where on a personal level, if it's a group of people that I all know personally, I trust them all. So you can give up that type of governance in an environment like that. Obviously, that wouldn't work if nobody knows each other, but in a realm where it's a bunch of people who have worked together for a very long time, yeah, here, have at it. Metals, you handle that piece.
Yeah.
We'll throw the money at it. We'll maybe provide some input here and there.
I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned this, because actually we're going to have this feature also where, for example, Metals, he can set up his own fees, like performance fees or entrance fee, exit fee, maintenance fee, based on that, because, his efforts
he's doing all
are
the
not,
work.
For free, right?
Right.
And we want to make this automated process where if he set up like 10% performance fee, he get this cut right away in his wallet, and you guys getting, the rest, like the splitted amount automatically. So this is something that also we're trying to achieve for this specific use case of, NFT flippers or whatever, or leader, or like a leader that they want to actually earn money like this.
So you've
like
thought about that
some
into
kind
the
of
protocol to where you can assign, hey, this is the person, they're going to have this. That's amazing. Very cool. Very cool. I can't wait to see how this evolves, man. Really excited.
Yeah, there are just so many use cases. We cannot cover all of them, but essentially with the right set of tools, you can cover most of them, to be honest.
Sure. Exactly.
If you have governance,
the way
setup,
you guys,
yeah.
Well, the way you guys are handling it too is you can evolve it to where it does cover everything as time goes on, and you realize, hey, there's another use case or need or thing that we need to add to this protocol, and I'm positive that you guys can make that work.
Yeah. To be honest, we are obviously starting more around, the NFTs and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But we're looking to expand, to like real estate and stuff like, physical items and,
right. And
private equity and whatnot.
And that's I would assume, it's definitely a more difficult piece, because with NFTs, everything's kind of on chain. You can see what's going on, to where, kind of like the either real estate or that car idea. You really don't know. You don't have the on chain transaction of this is how much I paid. for car X or whatever, I would have to submit those receipts and submit all that into the protocol, and people would have to assume that it's legitimate, right? So there definitely would be more in that realm that needs to be played with, right? To have that still trustless environment at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. Now, real estate is different because a lot of projects actually are, tokenizing real estate properties, and you can actually you have a proof that holding something on chain and stuff like this. But we will see. We don't want uh, to start with everything. Obviously, we should have a focus, but we're definitely looking to expand.
Let's crawl before we walk.
Actually expand to other chains as well. This is something very, very important to mention, that we are trying to build a new piece of technology where actually from Solana wallet you'll be able to control assets that are on different chains, which means like you can buy your CryptoPunk on Ethereum and just control it from your Solana wallet, from your Solana DAO, and you don't need to bridge it and stuff like this. This obviously is something very complicated. It's it's going to be a total game changer for the whole industry. But we are also are exploring and trying to build something in this direction where since two of the of the major things that we're doing is, one, we're trying to set up like a DAO standard on Solana, and we are working alongside with Solana dev team and SPL governance dev team in order to achieve that, because there are not many projects actually building for DAOs like tools or whatever, and we're one of them. We're one of them, major on Solana. And the second thing, it's actually we're trying to, since Solana obviously is going to be one of the top choices when it comes to DAOs.
For sure.
Now to allow people to control assets on different chains, and when this happened, actually, obviously Solana will become, just the best place for DAOs.
Yeah, I can see that happening for sure. And I mean, Solana's good for a lot of things. They still have a little bit of work to do, right, on their network and the congestion issues. But sounds like there's some projects in the mix right now that are making some headroads to get that resolved, which is very much necessary. But like everything in this realm, it's all very much a work in progress, and got to keep growing as new problems arise. It's not a bad thing. Let's move on to Twitter questions, if you're good with that. What do you think?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's do it. All right. All right. I'm not going to try the names because they're, not something I could pronounce. But we will be able to. Let me see. What is the thing for this? So winners will be announced on Twitter. Okay. Here are the questions. So, what are the main utilities of the UNQ native token?
Yeah, let me try to take this one. Okay. So we've been thinking a lot about this, and in the end of the day, what we are kind of getting now on our hands with the direction the platform is taking and so on, you can say that it's basically a SaaS platform, right? So software as a service.
Right.
And so with that being said, we are trying to adopt kind of the same business model that most, platforms like that would do in, let's say, Web2 world, right? So we are looking to basically provide a bunch of features and functionalities for free for everyone, so people can come kickstart their own club and we'll see how that goes. And if it's growing and if it's going well, of course, they might want to use more features, invite more people into that, and so on and so on. And that's the point where we will start monetizing this whole story, right? And then this is exactly the point where the token gets its full utility, because people can use it to get discounts through different mechanisms, like paying directly with it or staking it on our platform, being also active within the platform, of course, and so on. So basically get a discount on all the services that we provide as a platform, right? But that's like the first step. And then the thing that we've been talking about here as well, and that we are actually very actively discussing internally, is that once the platform grows to a significant number of clubs, of participants, we want really for it to be like sort of DAO of DAOs, right? And like we said, for the community to drive the direction which our roadmap is taking, and that's again where it will take some sort of a governance function as well, so that club owners and management can participate in those in that platform-wise governance, which will be based both of the token and of the club activity and success that they have.
Interesting, right? And so paying for the DAO as a service would be paid for with the token as well, right?
Not exclusively, for sure.
Okay.
Because I mean, again, as we are trying to expand beyond just crypto, right? Not necessarily all of those people who want to use the functionality will have those tokens, or will have an actual way to get exposure to the token, right? Which doesn't mean they shouldn't be cut off the platform altogether. But of course, we'll be looking into different ways of how even those transactions that are, let's say, not connected with the Unikey token will still have influence on the token itself.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So question 2. What makes these venture clubs truly unique, and how do you manage each configuration?
Well, basically, people make them unique, right? In the first place, let's be honest about it. Many clubs can have same configuration, but they won't have the same people within them, right? So it's in the first place their own community. But how we manage configuration? Well, basically, each club is sort of, let's say, an instance of its own, right? So it has its own set of programs, set of smart contracts, if you would like, that are basically carrying those parameters and those configurations that they have set up, and that can be changed along the way as well. So basically, each of them is to some extent independent, but they all live on the same platform, right? And it's definitely one of our goals to see people participating in a number of clubs at the same time, right? So not being exclusive to one of them. And also clubs to be interconnected. That's why we want them to see each other, to have this full discovery mode and everything like that, because we definitely see a future where clubs will invest in each other as well, right? And that's going to be exciting.
Right. So the club in and of itself can be an investor into another club, or a contributor to another club.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like Martin said, for example, clubs have multiple treasuries. Those treasuries can have different management. And then one treasury within the same club can invest into the other treasury, or they can together invest in some treasury over, another club. So, the opportunities are limitless really here.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. All right, question 3. How can the community support and help in the success of your project, and how can we collaborate or help you with the development of your project? Pretty good question.
Marty,
if you're Rust developers, you're just found yourself a job.
Yeah. Anybody on here who can code in Rust, please DM, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to the general community, um, there will be a
Right?
lot of things.
Join. They need to join the beta, contribute, provide some
Yeah,
input, provide some
absolutely.
feedback. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be the first step. And the second step would be definitely we are really looking forward to that moment where clubs will start realizing their full potential in terms of like I said, not just investing, but this contributing and cooperating in non-financial ways as well, right? Come to a club that is, for example, built on top of some NFT collection and help promote this collection, right? Participate in this whole activity, do a lot of things for a lot of different clubs. That's, I guess, where it's really it can be really beneficial for everybody, for the platform, for every particular club, and for every individual, really.
Right. Everybody can contribute one way or another. That's for sure. And the more that they are involved in the project and in the, the development of it, of their own DAO and providing feedback, the better. Well, very cool. I'm really liking what we got to discuss today, and I'm excited about being able to get access to this to the beta with WWV, and being able to hopefully start a little NFT fund. Very interested in that. Really cool stuff you guys got going on. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we call it a wrap?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's been really great. It's been a long time since I personally visited any AMA or any spaces or podcasts or whatever, and it's been a great pleasure. You're handling it like a boss, and great discussion. Thank you.
Been good. Yeah, thanks for hopping on with us, Alex. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to doing this again. Maybe after the beta, after we've had some test beds going, and we can talk shop on the different variables that came to play in all these DAOs that were developed and what we've learned looking back. So I'm looking forward to that maybe in a couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Alex. Martin, thank you. Unique Venture Clubs, everyone, be sure to check them out. You can go to their website, Google Unique Venture Clubs. I don't know what the website is. Sorry, apologize.
Unique.vc.
Okay, thank you. Say it one more time.
Unique.vc.
Unique.vc is the website. Go check it out. Apply for the beta, and let's get a DAO started and start seeing what we can do with these. Looking forward to it. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Sunday, and take care, all.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.
It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.